The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Department of Defense is working with Google to help secure America's digital defense systems, from establishing cloud-based zero-trust solutions to deploying the latest AI technology. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
The kids are still at practice, and I have no idea what's for dinner.
You can get a rotisserie chicken and 2 sides for just $15 in as fast as an hour with Walmart Express Delivery.
Who said that? Who's in my house? Don't play with me, because I'm not the one.
It's just your friendly Walmart announcer. This is a commercial.
Oh, okay. You were saying dinner for a family was just $15?
Yep, it'll be at your door by the time you get the kids home from practice. Order now. Welcome to your Walmart. Subject to availability, restrictions, and fees apply.
Now that was a helpful commercial.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Our friend John Amaechi has braved our borders and customs restrictions to be here helping us with the all-important meetings. Got to have meetings. Welcome, John. It's nice to see you.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here.
How hard and how much fear was there involved with trying to get over here to hold me in your bosom?
I tell you, the interesting part was a colleague of mine, an academic at another university, recently found themselves stopped, held for 36 hours, and then gently ushered back to France. So since that point, it has made me breathe deeply about coming into the country. And not, again, it's not anything about the people of the country. It's just about the process of going through the border. And it's notable to me, I suppose, that I travel to the Middle East for work and places that others might imagine to be more hostile from a governmental point of view, and I feel less stressed than I felt coming in. I've got global entry, right? So I've been double checked. The Home Office has checked me to make sure I'm not a bad person, and so's the U.S. government. And they were all really very pleasant. And so it turns out to be a bit of a nothing. But the idea that stress exists
in America
is really strange for me.
I want to just show you something we've been playing with today, which is Donald Trump saying he is 6'3", 224 pounds, and the pathology of lying, because I'm just putting him next to an assortment of world-class athletes who have a similar weight and size, and there seems to be a discrepancy between how he looks and how they look. The pathology of lying here, as somebody who is a psychologist, what do you make of doing things like this where you're just perfectly okay saying 6'3", 224 pounds when that lie does not meet the eye test?
So I'd say two things. One, hold on. So this is what I'd say about that. Sorry, I'm totally distracted by
that. Was Matt Kugler.
The juxtaposition.
Indeed it was.
Were you
and believe it or not, the shorts matched the shirt.
Oh, that is.
What were you? I've never seen you speechless or not ready to be talking like a professional broadcaster at every moment.
It's just that particular shirt, and also the pose. It's like he's part of Trump's entourage.
He's dancing.
Well, that was at Daytona.
He's dancing.
Oh, so essentially then the same thing. Yes,
Mike,
okay.
why don't you get your gear head so that you could tell us all about the trip you're about to make to Talladega?
Oh, my God. That's going to be incredible.
While John Amaechi gathers his thoughts real quick,
Yes.
It was Bristol, baby. Kyle Larson bounces back from a terrible race at Darlington, in which he made the same mistake twice and did not finish. He just totally laps the field. He was the best car by a wide stretch. Wins that race at Bristol. Kyle Larson, second win of the Cup Series team. But yeah, hey, DraftKings is helping me out. I actually go to Talladega because I wanted to stay in the infield because it's NASCAR's biggest party on the circuit. And I waited a little too long to do that. Apparently, you got to get that request in for a long time. But thankfully, my partners at DraftKings heard this was something that I was interested in, worked something out with NASCAR. So I'm going to go there in a camper with 3 of my friends, to Talladega Super Speedway for the most bonkers race weekend the NASCAR Cup Series has to offer. It is a trip that I've really wanted to take for quite some time. It is a dream, and it's all being made possible because of DraftKings.
Camper? You're doing a camper?
We got a camper. We got premium RV passes. It's incredible. There's concerts. It's the biggest party on the circuit. So I'm looking very much forward to
John,
this.
you were saying before we interrupted you.
No. So just to be clear, this is the thing where they just go around in a circle, right?
Yes.
And so it's like tailgating at cars going around in a circle.
Well, it's. I mean, sometimes it's an oval shape. Sometimes it's maybe more of a triangle. They do have road courses as well. So, it's not always left turns, but predominantly left turns.
Are you there? So is this one of those things where you're there for the party? Because I've met people who go to football and they're there for the party, not for the actual football. Is this one of those things?
I'm there for both. I really do love
And
left
do you
turns.
mean soccer?
No, I meant your football, sorry.
Okay.
Your football,
Just checking.
not the real football.
You
I
were
meant-
saying about Trump and the pathology of lying before you got distracted
I
by
did.
Kugler's dancing in shirt.
That's still amazing. It's still going to haunt me in my dreams. So the thing that happens with human beings is that the way we think we look is influenced by a lot of different factors. You and I, we all know people who, when they look at themselves, even in the peak of their prime, they see someone ugly and fat and awful. This is a test. This is a test of uncommon difficulty. Is that how you dance?
Stay on point.
It is to Pitbull.
Stay
We were
on
trying to figure
point.
out what the song was.
Oh my
It's
God. It doesn't
Pitbull,
matter. It doesn't
it's
matter. It could be the
Daytona.
Macarena.
I think that's Don't Stop the Party.
Anyway, so people look at themselves and they have no idea what they actually look like. And then there are some people who are surrounded by others who reinforce their terrible idea. So whether it's a child in a family who thinks they're fat and their mother looks at them and even though they're not fat, they says, yeah, you are a bit overweight. And he's got a group of people, a group of sycophants around him who reinforce that he is indeed the same as many of these other figures. And he is muscular and handsome and whatever else. And I don't know that it's the most relevant part of the pathology that I might notice around him.
It's not the most relevant part. It's just something funny that came out yesterday because I can't believe the brazenness of it. Like there is no one on the planet that we would show photos of Trump and they would say that person's 6'3", 224 pounds.
No, but that's what happens with the kind of convergence of power, sycophancy, and this need to grift, right? You're going to do whatever you have to do, say whatever you have to say. This is remarkable.
Okay.
I-team investigation, by the way.
I don't know what to do right now.
There is a gentleman, not to be outdone, with a beard in the back and the Dale Jr. shirt, and I've been trying to read his lips to decipher which one of the Pitbull bangers might be sung. Now, I don't think that's Don't Stop the Party. Best I can tell, though, that might be Fireball.
I appreciate the investigation. Continue with the investigation. Before John leaves for more of these meetings that he's helping us with here, I'd like to continue a conversation that we began to have last week about the mental health strain on athletes, whatever it is that you feel fell off of Rory McIlroy yesterday because of however it is that he would feel approaching that initial tee box on Sunday. One of the things that I was talking about was the lopsided nature of what someone like Michael Phelps has to do to be a winner in the lonely swimming category of I've got to do all the disciplined things as a swimmer to live underwater. And I'm not gonna like diagnose him with like autism spectrum, but he's got swimming spectrum stuff where like just being in the water all the time, he is somebody who got so great at that maybe some other things fell by the wayside. And Neil Brennan, the comedian, says, well, of course, it's because the greatest of athletes, they're not mentally healthy. They're insane.
ESPN's always carrying on about how athletes need to have good mental health. And I want everyone to have great mental health, but not athletes. You know what I call an athlete with good mental health? An assistant coach is what I call him. What documentary did we all watch about basketball during COVID? Last Dance, correct. Did Michael Jordan seem mentally healthy to you in the slightest? Giant mansion, one chair. Here's what we learned during the Last Dance. We learned that Michael Jordan's hobby was basketball, but his passion was revenge. It's what fueled him. It's what fuels all the greats, like settling scores and holding grudges. I was at a restaurant recently, and some little kid was crying, and his dad was like, son, just to remember, the most important thing in life is to never take anything personally. And I slid in and was like, unless you want to be the greatest basketball player who ever lived. Yeah, if they're great at sports, they're out of their minds. Tom Brady, not well. Did you see him try to play toward the end? Whenever he tried to run, he looked like he was on the toilet and he left his phone in the other room. Tom Brady tried to retire, made it like 10 days. Finally, he was like, I don't know these fucking kids. And they were like, Dad, will you come outside and throw the ball? And he was like, with you guys? No.
Thoughts, Amaechi?
Yeah, so he's right and he's wrong, right? So is there a particular mindset of an elite athlete that would definitely come at odds with what we might expect for the norms of society? Absolutely right. But the very same thing happens with the reintroduction of veterans back into society. The very same thing, because the mentality of being someone who is that kind of disciplined in an environment of that kind of peril creates a mindset that is not exactly normative for mowing your lawn and saying hi to the neighbor and borrowing a cup of sugar or whatever. So yes, you're right. There are some things that shift. However, does this mean that every athlete who's elite has to be mentally unhealthy? Michael Jordan in The Last Dance is not an example of what had to be for him. He made choices that meant that certain key people never appeared in that documentary and refused to have a word to say about it. He made choices. And those choices had consequences, both for him and his sense of being wrongly done by and his sense of having to whatever else, carry all the weight or whatever else. Not every elite athlete has to live in a world of misery and mental ill health, but they are going to be wired slightly differently than what you might expect your next door neighbor.
I thought that Robert Smith, I've told this story before, the great running back who retired early, I thought he was uniquely qualified to retire early because he had a doctorate, had a million different interests, and was walking away from football while he could still walk, while the knees worked. And very soon after losing the discipline of you have to be here at this time, he was throwing up into a bucket by his bed, drinking too much in the morning because the lack of discipline, structure being something that he had been his entire life. By the time he got to 30, he couldn't deal with what was happening.
Dan, having a hobby outside of your work or even an education isn't what saves you. It certainly isn't what saved me. It's the idea that at no point did I think I was a basketball player. Did I think that's my title and that's my role? It was what I was doing. It wasn't who I was. When your occupation is your definition, that is inherently always problematic. And that's the difference. The difference is that when people call me a basketball player now, I'm insulted. I don't lament it. Even when people tell me they can beat me at basketball, I'm amused rather than insulted. This is the nature of this, right? It's the nature of this.
Be amused when I pull the chair, buddy.
You can go now. I'm pulling your chair. You didn't like the chair. You said it was too small. You tried to post him up, and he would just move. Good seeing you. Thank you. Thank you for all your help and all of your care.
Investigation did bear out that was indeed Fireball.
Wow.
And
Fireball.
Also, Tony, it looks like Meech literally ran away from the grind.
Guys, tech is not really my thing, and as I'm trying to build out a website recently, I'm really starting to feel kind of frustrated. Do you ever feel overwhelmed trying to manage your web hosting while juggling a million other tasks, sort of like I do? Even if tech isn't your thing, like me, Kinsta's managed WordPress hosting is just a relief. Their expert team handles it all. And with Kinsta, there's always a human ready to help rather than an automated bot. We've all been there. Something goes wrong, you just need an answer or some help. But instead of being able to ask a question, you're dealing with some fancy AI-powered chatbot who doesn't understand your issue. That's not going to happen with Kinsta. There's always a real-life human ready to help out. Kinsta will give you peace of mind and let you focus on your business rather than dealing with tech issues. For us, that means more time watching games and getting you the best steaks possible without having to worry about troubleshooting tech issues. Tired of being your own website support team? Switch your hosting to Kinsta and get your first month free. And don't worry about the move. They'll handle the whole transition for you. No tech expertise required. Just visit kinsta.com/Dan to get started. That's KINSTA.com/Dan.
You may or may not know this, but 20 years ago, the origins of this very show were just a dream for Dan and Stugotz. That dream turned into a show and a business you're listening to today. Starting your own business is a dream lots of us share, but too many of us let it remain just a dream. Don't hold yourself back thinking, what if I don't have the skills? What if I can't do it alone? Turn those what ifs into why nots with Shopify by your side. Shopify powers millions of businesses worldwide, including 10% of all U.S. e-commerce. Whether you're Mattel or you're just getting started, Shopify's got your back. Not a web designer? No problem. Shopify has beautiful, ready-to-go templates. Need help with the details? Their AI tools can enhance product images, write descriptions, and even generate discount codes. Worried about finding customers? Shopify makes marketing easy with email and social media tools. So what are you waiting for? Turn those dreams into and give them the best shot at success with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/Batard. BATARD. Go to shopify.com/Batard. Shopify.com/Batard.
Ever feel like your paycheck disappeared before you even know where it went? You're not alone. Tracking your spending can be tricky, especially when little expenses sneak up on you. Late night food deliveries, I'm raising my hand, that happens to me all the time. Impulse online shopping, sporting event tickets, and don't even get me started on organic baby wipes and diapers. I mean, that's costing me a fortune right now. Finances can feel overwhelming, but Monarch Money makes it simple. Think of it as your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control so you can stop just earning and start growing. More than just a budgeting app, Monarch Money is a complete financial command center, helping you manage accounts, investments, and goals all in one place. Le Batard Show listeners get 50% off their first year by using code DAN at monarchmoney.com. Without a clear financial picture, your biggest money goals can feel out of reach. Monarch Money makes managing your finances effortless, even for busy lives. It syncs all your accounts, credit cards, and investments so you always know where your money stands. No more guessing, no more stress, just a clear, organized view of your financial life. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code DAN at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code DAN, D-A-N.
Dan Le Batard.
I don't like smelly either.
Stugotz.
Women stay home in the kitchen where they belong.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Can we please talk about what just happened at Tennessee? Because this is the natural Tennessee football. This is the natural ascension of what's going to happen with the chaos of paying for players. Nico, I'm going to leave you now. What's his name?
Iyama Leaba.
Okay, so it's not I'm going to leave you. Okay, because he's leaving Tennessee. Now, we talked to Leonard Hamilton about this. He had players boycott on him. Where else has this happened where somebody thinks they're worth $4 million, but the school doesn't feel like they're worth $4 million, and now the portal has largely dried up, and he's going to have trouble getting whatever money he thinks he has earned from another school. 11 of his 19 touchdown passes last season were against UTEP, Vanderbilt, and Chattanooga. So he only had 8 touchdown passes in the big games that Tennessee was playing. What do you guys make of the details of the business of this?
I think the whole thing is honestly kind of sad. I feel bad that people are going to now, like Tennessee fans especially, are going to be really angry with him and blame him for this. And I also understand why you would if you were a fan, because this is someone that Tennessee went to bat for. They obviously spent a lot of money on his recruitment and paying this NIL deal, which, of course, we don't have any of the contract deals in front of us. So we're just going off of what a lot of the reporting is saying about the details of the number and how much he was owed this year and how much he was asking for, et cetera, et cetera. But the fact that a quarterback who took a team to the playoffs, obviously with a lot of help, with a great running back, good coaches, a great defense, would ask for more money and basically not have any leverage to get what he was asking for because of some of the underperformance issues like you mentioned, Dan, and then would just leave and enter the spring portal, which really, really limits your options because a lot of teams already have allocated money for who their quarterback's going to be next fall. A lot of administrators are operating under the fact that the House settlement's going to come through and they're going to have this $20 million cap, soft cap, or maybe it's a hard cap. We don't really know. There's an NIL clearinghouse that we don't have details details on, but they're operating under the auspices that, like, we already have decided this is who our quarterback is and we've set aside money for him. And to have to all of a sudden be interested or maybe be interested in Nico and $4 million is what he's asking for this late in the game, like, it's going to be hard for him to find a spot. That being said, it could end up working out for him. He could end up finding a place to play. He could end up getting more money than he would have made at Tennessee. And financially, maybe it works out. I just think that the whole thing is kind of sad. And instead of being mad at him and maybe some bad advice that he could be getting, I think like this is one of the reasons why 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when all of this stuff was arising as an issue in college football, the NCAA sat on their hands and they didn't really try to come to any sort of conclusion, proactive conclusion about how to prevent things like this from happening. And so here we are with a 20-year-old who's made a really, drastic decision early in his career that's going to stick with him for the rest of his life and certainly change the trajectory of his career and a lot of the careers of his former teammates, his former head coach, his future head coach, and et cetera. So it's just a really strange and kind of crappy situation.
When Josh Heupel says no one is bigger than the team, and he puts his foot down on you can leave starting quarterback of playoff team, he's doing it because he's not that good, right? He wouldn't be putting his foot down if that was Cam Ward, right?
No, I think he's putting his foot down because he just has to at that point because Nico was engaging in a holdout at that point. Mario Cristobal spoke about this, was asked, a lot of coaches are going to be asked about this, like, what would you do if this situation's like they have to go? You can't establish that precedent.
But what if it's Cam Ward, though?
No, I think it's a good question, Dan. Like, I don't know for sure if they would have let him walk away if he was if he played an outrageously great season last year and they can't afford to see him go, quite literally, because it's going to set them back in a year where they thought they were going to be better and make a playoff and make all the millions of dollars that comes along with it. I don't know if we can answer that, but I think this is, if you're talking about it from a leverage standpoint, he certainly would have had more leverage had he played to the level that I think was expected of him before the season started. But that's just something we'll never know.
But can we try to answer it, though? Because Heupel's making a big show of, like, this is happening throughout sports now. It just happened to champion Michael Malone. We are giving money and power to people not old enough to be trusted with it. And what ends up happening if they don't care about either your program or your system is something like this, where Josh Heupel can now be like, I showed him, and I'm like, well, he's not that good. Like, that wasn't an actual test for you. Like, I know you don't want the discomfort of your starting quarterback leaving, but if you think you can get a better one for that money, that's what the game is now. The game is doing the measurements on value as the coach. The game's not puffing out your chest and no one's bigger than the team.
Yeah, given what they had invested in this player and what his ceiling is, remember, he's still very young in his development, that they're not happy about this. But so I don't think it's like I'm making an example about a guy that didn't yet live up to expectations. I kind of think that he did. He's progressing fine. We all thought he would be a little bit better. We thought
but
that
he's
that
20,
offense,
yeah.
We thought that offense would look closer to what it looked like at the start of the season by the end of it, and that wasn't necessarily the case. But he's
and
very
also,
young.
yeah, worth mentioning, a lot of drops. Like, his adjusted completion percentage is like 72%, something like that. And the drop rate was higher than like a lot of other top teams. But yes, like it's certainly not his best games against Georgia, certainly Ohio State, and the teams that you would have liked to see him play well against.
Are there upgrades potentially available around the nation? I don't know. When you talk about availability, it is just going to be funny when they no doubt get in the weeds and talk to people that perhaps won't even enter the portal, right? And they're going to play a pretty dirty game in trying to upgrade at that position too. But I understand why Josh Heupel said this. Mario Cristobal's direct quote was, I don't care if it's the best player in the nation. You can't have this going on. Now, he might have figured that out from our experience with Tyler Van Dyke a couple of years ago, where this popped up during a spring window and Tyler Van Dyke wasn't really in the portal, but was invoking some of these things like he may look to go elsewhere. Miami did indeed bring him back. Look, there's a lot of people that flirt with this, that leverage their NIL collectives that you never hear about entering the portal. I would say the vast majority of people that have NIL deals leverage situations that they're technically not allowed to because they're not in the portal yet. It's the threat of going into the portal. And to Jess's earlier point, they still don't have this settlement. Many people, if I'm representing a student athlete that can command big NIL money, I would say this might be our last chance to fully max out here on a market that is still pretty wild and unsettled. Before rev share comes in and before people get started being slotted into cap spots, you may want to go out there and maximize your leverage while you still can.
I'm a little worried about Jessica. I'm loath to admit this publicly, but I think she's addicted to scratch-offs.
I had a wild weekend, okay? So I had a bunch of singles that I found in my nightstand.
Hell yeah.
Like $30, probably from the fine bucket, probably from when I won the fine bucket. And I was like, what am I going to do with like 30 singles? I don't know. I don't use cash that much. Let's buy some scratch-offs. So Lehman and I went and we bought some scratch-offs. You can get a lot of scratch-offs for $30. So we ended up with like a stack of like 15 scratch-offs. And I won $50. And one of the scratch-offs, every single thing that I scratched off was a winner. That one alone was $15. And I got a little hooked. And I was like, should we go back? Should we get $50 worth of scratch-offs now?
Especially since you already took one stack and closely doubled that.
Exactly. So then we went back. We got $50 worth of scratch-offs. I got another huge stack. And there's this crossword scratch-off game where you scratch off the letters and then you cross off in the crossword, like the letters. If you get enough words, you get more money. So if you get like 3 words with your letters, you get $20. If you get 4, you get $30, whatever. I got 4 words. So I won $30 just on that ticket alone. And then I did like 10 Monopoly scratch-offs and I won another $27. So I ended up with $47 now. Oh, yeah. I think, I don't know. I just said the math wrong, but it was $47. So we went back and we got more scratch-offs. So now I'm like 30 scratch-offs deep on Sunday.
Where were you going to get them? Like a 7-Eleven or?
Millam's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Millam's.
Millam's?
Always Millam's. Never what you said.
I thought it was Millam's.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Sorry.
Dan?
Tomato.
What do you think?
He doesn't go there.
Millam's.
Thank you, Dan.
The way that I recently got grabbed, and I don't know what money you ended up with, but this is sort of the way that gambling empires are built with your money. I went and got lotto tickets, I would say, for the first time in like 35 years and immediately won $600.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
I couldn't believe it.
I mean, I feel like I'm single-handedly paying for the education system in Florida. I assume that's where the lottery winnings go, but I really have no idea.
Bullshit.
I don't know where your money went, but I had to go someplace. They don't even pay you. After $500, you have to go to like a specific
like Tallahassee.
place.
It says it on the back. It's like, if you win more than $500, you have to mail this to Tallahassee. I'm like, what?
I spent as much in gas to go to the place I had to collect my winnings just because I wanted to collect the winnings, but it was a pain in the ass with traffic to get over there. And then the next time I played, I didn't get but a couple of numbers, and all the money went away. Did you end up quitting ahead?
No, we went back and we were like, well, this was found money. Let's just keep going. Why not? So we got $47 worth of scratch-offs back at the store, came home, scratched them all off. No winners.
Nothing.
What do you use to scratch? Are you a key?
It was a lot of fun. Lehman has this BCS National Championship pin from the last BCS National Championship game when he was covering it at Sports Illustrated. It's got the perfect little hard metal edge.
Nice.
Yeah, it was
perfect.
It was really nice. Although we were fighting over at one point. I like took all of them and I was like, I started going. He's like, I want to do some of these. I was like, but I want to do them. And then we were fighting over who's going to do all the
What do you guys
scratch-offs.
think is the most used utensil to scratch off? Is it a key or a coin?
Penny.
Key, because you got to do it at the actual facility,
House
right?
key.
At the Publix or
House
whatever.
key.
No, we took them home, Roy. This was an event. Like we were taking, we were taking our time. We were enjoying ourselves.
Pour a glass of wine. Do your scratch offs.
No.
I'd like to sample the audience. Let's put that on a poll.
No, I will, but know what, Roy?
No. I'm doing it right there because if I win, I'm turning it in at the Publix right there so I can get my money. If it's less.
There are 2 strategies. There are the people that just scratch it right there. I'm with Jess though. If I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be a whole thing. We're gonna bring it home.
3 questions then for the poll. Number 3, are you addicted to scratch-offs? Number 2, on scratch-offs, do you use a key or a coin? Do you have another applicant here? And then
a BCS National Championship pin from the 2014 game.
And then the third one, do you do the scratching off in the store or do you do it at home at Le Batard Show?
The other option is a fingernail.
That's
Fingernails
crazy.
insane.
Gross.
Don't do that.
You are a monster!
Wash your hands afterwards.
A monster! Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Do you use your fingernail on the scratch
You
off?
staying strong with it, Roy, or are you backing
Or
off?
do you judge others as monsters who use their fingernails?
You got your key to wipe the gunk off from underneath your nail bed?
Are any of you guys inserters instead of tappers on the credit cards?
Hell yeah.
It's a great question.
Excellent question.
I mean, you're definitely if you're still swiping in this day and age, you're just a monster.
We're all tapping it.
Sometimes you want to tap it first before.
I'm pro tapping, but there's these every once in a while you find the one. It's like where am I supposed to tap? You're like all of a sudden you're hovering your card.
That's why I'm an inserter.
Yeah, but then with the inserting, all of a sudden you get the terrible feeling of, sir, it's not in enough. Can you really get it in there more?
Hey.
And you got to like hold it in there. It's just it's more of a dangerous game, the inserting. I'm a tapper.
So I saw this news story on a local news channel about those credit card readers, specifically at gas stations, that if you insert your card, anytime I go to a gas station now, I fiddle with the credit card reader a little bit. And one time I found one of the fake ones that was there to scan the card. It just so happens I go to a gas station that the scanner wasn't working because I'd much rather tap. So you had to insert. So at that one, I would always play with it. And one time, one of those fake contraptions that was sealing people's identities fell off. I'm like, oh my God, I'm glad I watched that.
What are we looking for with the rattle? Like when you say you shake it.
If it comes off,
it
shouldn't come off.
Like it was overlaid over the proper credit card reader. And I shook it, and the plastic part just came off. It's a credit card skimmer that pulled it. I'm like,
that shouldn't be allowed.
Thank you, Pete.
It isn't.
It's not.
I think that most of you might think, and it would be a reasonable assumption to make, that I am an inserter just because I'm old and because the credit card gets inserted someplace. The reason that I am an inserter is because I am so tired of the number of times that the tap is inefficient or not working, and I just want to avoid the inefficiency.
You're like, am I doing this right? Where do I hover?
The inserter always works. The tapper works, I don't know what percentage of the time, but for me, it's not very often.
I hear you. But for me, like, it's also way more sanitary. So I always like to try, like, give it a wave once or twice.
But when I'm inserting, I'm like now I'm just staring at this thing, waiting for the words "remove card" to pop up. It's like it's just such a stressful thing. Whereas with the tapping, you see the little lights go across it that light up. You're like, all right, I'm nailing this.
Yeah, but the sanitation and the security that comes with tapping for me just outweighs the negatives, even if it's not working.
What's
properly.
the sanitation of inserting?
I'm with you, Dan. There's nothing better than
a gas station?
when you insert that thing right though. If there's nothing better, like in terms of just feeling you get.
I disagree. There are other insertions that are feeling better than that one. I don't know why you would say that that's the greatest of all of the feelings.
No, I'm saying in the paying world, there's no better feeling in the paying world than when you insert that thing right and you feel that back wall.
I would say that one of the things that's happening here, surely you guys have noticed this with self-checkout.
I'm going to go talk to Amaechi.
See you later. I don't know what it is that you guys see with self-checkout, and I don't know. I've told you a number of times that I am in the line at the grocery store with other people, and I'm looking at the line for cashiers, and everyone's older than me. I'm the youngest person because most young people are now self-checking out. But I will tell you that just about every damn time I self-check out, I have to go get somebody to help me because these three things didn't scan correctly. This barcode didn't work correctly. We're at a point in the technology. This happened with cell phones, right? Before cell phone towers were everywhere, people became addicted to using cell phones in their car, and therefore there were some inefficiencies in how the cell phone worked because the technology was not yet in the place where it needed to be so that you can make a proper phone call that connects every time. It would be hit or miss. I feel like we're in this place in a lot of places with technology. Do I have it wrong as it regards self-checkout? Because this is another place where I stand in line and I feel old in the line I'm standing in, but it's not because I'm old. It's because I don't trust the machinery over there to be as efficient as a human being.
I'm with you. It's rarely efficient. It demands I put it in a bag. It's like, no, I'd like to carry these two items out of the store. It's like, please put it in the bag. You can't scan your next item till it's in it's like, no, I'm just holding it, okay? You don't tell me where I'm putting it. If I have enough items that I need a bag, I'll put it in the bag.
The issue is that the person who's doing the checkout at the grocery store is usually old too. And like, I need to go. Like, I'll scan these 17 items quicker than you can scan the 3 items and then another 3 items and then Dan's 16 items that he's got to get celery. Oh, where's the barcode on the celery? I don't know where the celery is. All you got to do is tap the thing. You type in celery. Celery. Oh, it's 13 cents a pound. Perfect. Boom. All right, next.
There are people that know what they're doing, and there are people that don't. Like, there's nothing better.
That's in life.
When you get the person that know, like the person they're walking up to the thing, boom, boom, you're good to go. Like, and then you get the person that every once in a while where it's like, this is going to take 9 months.
Okay, I don't know if Tony is right about this. Put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Is the cashier always old? Because I don't think that what he's saying is true there.
They could either be really old or really young.
Yeah.
Like a high school job, too.
Well, they're not good jobs. This is one of the things that I find fascinating about what's happening right now with tariffs. I simply don't understand why all of America isn't self-aware enough to know that Americans in general are too lazy to do these jobs that nobody in America wants to do, that they're willing to do more cheaply overseas because Americans do not want to do these jobs because these jobs suck and they do not pay enough.
There was an excerpt I read from a person that was in Donald Trump's previous administration that tried to repeatedly, because every time they would talk about jobs, Donald Trump has a perspective when it comes to manufacturing, that Americans want to work in factories, that there is some dignity in this, and it's like an America of a bygone age. And he would pull all the data and tell them every time, nobody wants to work in factories. People are more likely to up and quit their job if it's at a factory more than any other industry. But there is a general disconnect, and it's not just Donald Trump, because you may think that that's coded. I actually saw a study in which Americans think, Americans would be better off if more people worked in manufacturing. 80% of Americans agreed with this study. I would be better off if I worked in a factory. Only 25% of Americans agreed.
This is one of the things that's happening, and I've seen this in Florida, right? When storms come and take away entire cities. If you kick all of the migrants and all of the workers out of Florida who rebuild, we will have no one to rebuild it. It just won't. It will not get rebuilt by Americans willing to do these shitty jobs.
Oh, but that's why we have exemptions now.
Folks, listen up. They're here and they're hot. Get ready because Jimmy John's is turning up the heat. After years of perfecting the cold sandwich, toasted sandwiches are finally here. Try one of their 3 all-new toasted creations. The Toasted Chicken Bacon Ranch, all-natural chicken, creamy homestyle ranch, applewood smoked bacon, melted provolone, fresh veggies, all on a perfectly toasted French bread. Good God, does that sound delicious. Or the Toasted Roast Beef and Cheddar, premium roast beef, melty cheddar, creamy horseradish sauce, crispy fried onions, fresh veggies, golden toasted French bread. It just keeps getting better. And the Toasted Ultimate Italian, salami, capicola, smoked ham, applewood smoked bacon, melted provolone, shredded Parmesan, fresh veggies toasted to perfection. Or take your favorite Jimmy John classics like the number 9 Italian Nightclub or the number 11 Country Club and get them toasted. Order now at jimmyjohns.com, on the Jimmy John's app, or stop by your local Jimmy John's today.
Folks, it's Mike Ryan, and do you know that Miller Lite has basically been a partner of this show for almost 20 years? And as we celebrate 50 years of Miller Lite, that means for a large chunk of it, and look, I didn't go to school for math, but I'm pretty sure that's like 80% of the time that Miller Lite's been existing, they've been with our show. And I'm so grateful for it because we truly believe this. If you listen to us back in our radio days, throughout our times in national radio, to the pirate phase, to now, you know that Miller Lite has been a huge supporter of ours. And I've always been a huge supporter of Miller Lite. Why? Because it's got taste you know you can depend on. A great beer, trusted by beer lovers for 50 years. Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you, or you can pick up Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.